You okay?
I'm good. I'm ready. I'm set.
I was born ready anyway.
We're all born ready. We just get it taken out of us.
So Sean, bro. Firstly, right? How do you pronounce your second name?
Kowalenko.
Kowalenko. Oh, you said that so poshly. Kowalenko.
Kowalenko
Hmm.
from the Ukraine.
Yes, Kowalenko from the Ukraine. Amazing. So I'm gonna just frame this quickly, yeah. Just for the audience, for the listeners. I'm just gonna read what you put on your story on Instagram about what we're gonna be talking about tonight. I say tonight because it's evening time. So, Sean, you want to talk about growth, life, having a mission and a purpose that means something to you, and how we can show up in the world for ourselves and our loved ones. I love that. Firstly, before I let you talk in general, and this is mainly for the listeners as well as myself, why I feel so connected and inspired by you and your story, because you have got a lot of like wisdom to share. You the depth to yourself is inspiring. Like for me, it's definitely inspiring, and I'm sure you know you can inspire others as well just by your journey. Your healing journey, self-realization, how you've come to be who you are today, all the shit that you've had to go through in life. We've talked many times, and just every time, every time we talk, I love how deep our conversations get, and I'm happy that we can share it. So, the stage is all
Blessings.
yours, Sean.
Blessings.
Blessings.
Yeah, bro.
Mm.
It's like we all go into life like complete. Like when we're born, we're already there, pretty much, as the essence of who we are. Then we go through life and we grow these wounds, scars. Like I did an analogy the other week about life's like a fight. It's inevitable you're going to get wounded, but like a fight, then wounds heal. But it's this,
Survival of the fittest, right?
yeah. But then sometimes we get scars from these wounds, and then it's the stories we give these scars what that didn't then dictate our life until then we look
Ooh.
at them with a different perspective. And that's kind of what I've found through my journey is resurfacing these scars and these wounds that I've experienced and look at them with a different perspective of the person I am now. So I can be at my highest potential and be joyous, happy, more peaceful within myself, look at people differently, look at life differently, and just step into the love of life and living. And to do that, you have to go really deep in the depth of your life. Um,
Mm.
and then I say about I take a lot of pride in that because if I know I can show up as my best self, my most authentic self as today, and learn from these life lessons and these wounds, traumas, experiences, places, people that have been in my life, good and bad, then I can show up for my loved ones in a much better way. And I can show up for other people in general in a much better way. So that's the main mission
So,
in
mm.
life.
So in a nutshell, would it be safe to say just also looking back, looking at your own history of your life, looking at the past through the traumas and stuff that's shaped who you are, the conditionings that have been imposed to you by people. It's like there's two ways to approach it. I was actually thinking about this the other day. Um, like you said, it's what you do with what's happened to you. Whether you play the victim card, and depending on the story you're telling, or you can use it as fuel to do something positive, to make something positive out of whatever situation that you've gone through. I was actually thinking about this the other day. Interesting that you've said that.
Yeah, we've all suffered some kind of. It's like we've all been a victim of something, but then that doesn't mean you have to turn that into victimhood. So it's like, do you want to stay a victim or do you want to be a survivor? Like, which one do you want to be? The
Or
survivors
do you
move
want to
forward.
thrive? Never mind just survive, at least fucking thrive. But it's quite common these days. Everyone, not everyone, I take that back. You know, what I hear when I'm about this may be different for a lot of people, but people are just always complaining about shit. That's like playing the victim card, isn't it? Like
Yeah, it's lack of
complaining.
gratitude.
Oh, lack
Like,
of
lack of
gratitude.
gratitude. They're not fulfilled. I'm. This is why I'm so passionate about speaking about the journey I've been on, and I feel like if some people resonate and take some wisdom from my life and my path, and I'd love it if they do, because we're all similar in so many ways. We just deal
Mm,
with different experiences. Is that life teaches you, and like we experience certain things so we can grow. Like, if we just stay in the same all the time, like that's not what life's about. And all these emotions we get for whatever instances we go through, like we all experience the same emotion. So you might have experienced something really difficult in your life that I might deal with a little bit better than you, but it's the same sense of emotions that we share and deal with. So it's finding a way to deal with the emotions and process them so we can move past this to become the better versions of ourselves. Do you understand?
yeah, I understand. It's easier to say it, but the how to do it, because also everybody's life is different in so many ways, and there's so many variables that come into play. But how could you give advice to say how, like the
Well,
how to, the process?
there's very, like, there's various points that people will change or they will want to experience a bit of growth to get past these points. It's like something really hits rock. You'll either hit rock bottom, like where it
Mm,
forces you. You'll either actually choose to do it because you just have a sense of you want to pursue something greater, or you'll be forced to do it by something else. Like for me, it was like I just had an inner feeling, just something there that I wasn't happy with the life I had. Like this isn't even taking into account all the stuff that came after, peeling it all back. There's just like the initial, I wasn't happy, felt depressed. What? Why?
mm,
And then it's like, why am I feeling like this? And
mm,
at that point, you have no answers, like zero. It's like generally zero, and you have to reach that rock bottom to want to pull yourself out. And like you've got to have a why you want to pull yourself out, something
okay,
bigger,
that's
a purpose to pull yourself out. Like for me, like I became like suicidal, but not because I didn't want to live and be alive. It was because I didn't want to live in the life that I had anymore, carrying all the
mm,
pain and the hurt. So my biggest fear was not living. I wanted to live so badly that I decided I'm not doing this shit no more. Like, I'm going to focus on me
mm,
and get to the bottom of why I'm feeling this way. And I had to go to the deep, dark depths first to start pulling myself out. And like you say, the lotus grows out of the mud. It's just like us. We grow out of the mud. We then blossom out of the dirt, like plants. It all comes from the dirt. So we've got to get in the dirt, the down and dirty of what's in our bodies, in our minds, in our subconscious, to figure out what it is we want out of life. And it's always been there. That's the thing. It's always been there since a child. What it is. It's just we get it lost along the way with other people's perceptions, life circumstances, other people's judgments, events, the environment we live in, conditioning from outside sources that we're not self-aware enough to think autonomously, to think, well, I don't need that. Like, do you know what I mean? It's like, no, I don't need this. Like, this doesn't fit me. That grows with more time and experience of experiencing lows to get that. You can't. I don't feel you can get to this point without experience a lot of lows. It's just part
And
of it.
for you to experience the lows, this is where you kind of find your
Yeah.
why and what you want to do. Oh, that is so beautiful. But in fact, there's no but. It's the process that sometimes we have to go through. And this is another way to find strength in all the hard times that you go through, is that you will find a reason, and you'll find the meaning, and you'll find your why you don't want to be there, and why you want to do something else. This is like digging deep to kind of help you find what your passion is, because like you said, you weren't happy where you were. You were depressed. You weren't happy where you were, but did you know what you wanted? Did
Not
you
at
know
that
where
point.
you
No.
wanted to go? So
No. No.
this is you whirling in your depression. It's like, because you had no why, you had no sense of direction.
Yeah.
So you
And
had
it's
to
like,
reach
and it's a sense of
depth.
a sense of direction that can change over time as
It
well.
always
So
changes.
you're very different versions. If you're the same version you are now that you was 25 years ago, you've done something wrong. Like something's seriously gone wrong. Like for you to
Well,
even if your life's been great for the last 25 years, then you should
mm,
still be an elevated, different version of who you are in some sense than 25 years ago. Like you've
in some
the all
sense,
active life.
but at the same time, somebody could be happy and content with their life, and they're happy with their routine. So, if somebody's happy with their current state and they don't want to evolve and they're just content and happy, then fair enough. We don't always have to be growing, but it's finding contentment to live life, basically, to, however you want to live it and find happiness in. So
See, I agree with that, but
I
I
beg to
don't.
differ.
I disagree on that. We don't always have to keep growing. You have to keep growing in some sense. That's nature. That's the laws of nature.
Well, your body's gonna grow, that's gonna deteriorate regardless. But
That's
if you're content
exactly that
mentally,
regenerates. It regenerates. And if you're not like you're not the thing is like for me, there's different kinds of people. It's like you're alive. That's a beautiful thing in itself. Like, why are you not pursuing the most potential of why you're here?
mm,
It's like this is what sends a lot of people into depression because they're unconscious to it because they're here for so much more and their spirit knows that. It's like the mind can't quite comprehend. So it's like
so hit,
I just feel
yeah.
like there's something more, and I'm not pursuing my potential.
I think it's about asking the right questions. A question that I've been fascinated about recently, since the first episode came out, was, what is your passion? If I ask you what is your passion, I'm sure you'd know, because you know what you want to do, and you've got goals, which we'll get into soon. Um, but if you ask any other person, what's your passion? What is your passion?
Yeah,
It's an
that's well,
interesting question, because most people don't even know what their passion is, because all they know is the conditioning that's been imposed on them. You go to work, you provide for your family, but when you go to work, you're doing a job that you don't fucking actually like. So what's your
mm,
passion? They don't have enough time to do what they want to do to be able to find what their passion is. Probably a lack of money, stuff that limits them from finding out who their true authentic self is, and what makes them tick, what they love to do. So yeah, what's your passion?
well for me it's like you can word that differently sometimes. It's like what do I
Hmm.
enjoy, and
Okay.
can I do
Hmm.
those things I enjoy passionately? Do you know what I mean?
That's
So
an
that's a different
that's
way to ask the question. It's like, I think if you ask people, what do you enjoy? They'd be a lot easier to answer. And then say, well,
yeah.
okay,
I
you
was just
enjoy
about
these
to say the same
things.
thing. Hmm.
It'd be, I enjoy these things. Okay, so if you go and do them things, will you do that with a sense of joy? Uh, do it passionately, with passion. Like,
Mm.
and they'd be like, oh yeah, I can. But why aren't you pursuing that then? Why are you not doing that?
Oh,
And this is, we
because I
know
have to
these
do
things.
this and
Yeah, but it's like,
because
this is, well, it
because
is because
this.
I've got obligations to this, I've got obligations to that, because that's how I've been
Mm.
conditioned in life from school to conform to that. You get told in school not to chase your dreams, which is the biggest load of bullshit like we've ever been told. Like,
Don't chase your
from
dream. Just get a job
don't
and make
chase
sure you
dreams, just get a job, and that's fine.
partake in
Like,
slave labor.
yeah, just don't do that. Don't do this. No, don't be a dreamer. Like, from up to the age of 7, that's where we've actually got a lot figured out by that point of like what we'd actually enjoy to do with our lives. Like,
Mm.
as a creative person, if you ask a child, they'll like say, "Oh, I want to work in a zoo. I want to work with animals. I love being around people," or some sense, and
Mm.
that's in them.
It's funny you say that because like myself from the age of as early as I can remember. I can remember from the age of like 3, 4. But about 7, 8 years old, I always questioned, and it's been a question that always came up every now and then throughout my lifetime, my early years is why are we here? How have we got here as humans? Like, what's life about? Why are we here? How come there's no blueprint information to say this is why we're here and this is what we're here for and here to do? I've always questioned why we're here and what are we here to do since the age of, yeah, as young as
There is no
7, 8.
blueprint because we're creative beings. Everything's
Hmm,
created. So we
I
create
like
our
that.
own blueprint. That's
Yeah.
taken out of you. And then when you actually, it's like you go on a bit of a journey, a process, it's like,
Mm.
actually, I create my reality. I'm accountable for so much stuff. And a lot of people want to pass that off to other things, but no, like, do you know how much power that gives you? Say, I'm accountable for this. Like, take your power back.
This is a whole, this is a whole other topic completely. Um, because take it, holding yourself accountable and taking responsibility for everything that happens to you and everything that you do, it seems to be slightly fading away with the majority of people because the reason why when you said that it's kind of like brought up something in me that where where people are just negative, have a negative outlook, and and it rubs off everybody else. It's rubbed off
Because what
onto me
people do,
before.
I find generally when you say that, they go to the worst thing that's ever happened in their life and they try
Mm,
and say, what, you think I'm accountable for that?
mm,
It could be like a form of abuse. I was like, no, you're not accountable for the action
mm.
that's happened to you, but you now are accountable for how you respond from this,
How you
like how you
respond.
heal from this and move forward. It's like, it
Mm.
doesn't take away the action that's happened to you. But if you continue forward, letting that action that's might have been terrible continue for 15, 20 years, then you're still living that day.
Repeating the same story, telling it
Yeah,
over and over
over.
again.
But
So,
when
so,
we
so what do you
become
think that
accountable,
what?
we can change that.
So what do you think that does then? If you keep on repeating the same negative story over and over again, something bad that's happened to you, it comes
Well,
across to me as if you're playing the victim card, like you want people to feel sorry for you. It may be a bit sensitive for a lot of people, but
see, I don't think people
what
do that
does
on
that? What
purpose.
does
Like,
that?
that's an unconscious thing. It's like, I don't think, to a certain extent, they might do it at a certain time, but I don't think they play it. They don't like, it's not like, say, I'm choosing to play this a lot of the time. It's just because
Mm,
they've not, the need's not been met, an emotional need, hasn't been met, or it's been validated, or boundaries been overstepped in that moment. And because, again, it comes back to childhood, like we might not have been taught, or we might have been taught that that's okay, or not taught how to deal with it. We just kind of shut down. We go into these protective measures, sort of flight and freeze and fawn and all these other things that just shrivel us up. So it's
Mm.
like, okay, who's coming to save me? You know? And it's like, well, no, the only person, when you become more conscious, is going to save you is you,
Is
because
yourself.
you're the one that's in control of your mind. You're the one that's in control of your body and your thoughts and what you do. So that means you're in control of your outcome, how to get past this, and how you want to reframe things and your perspective on things, so they don't, so it doesn't control you anymore. If so, you have an opportunity today to start creating the future you want to live in today in the present moment. But if you're so focused on being victimized by certain events, you're going to keep living your past in the present day. So how does that?
Okay.
You're not going to get no further.
Okay. I understand when you say obviously you're not gonna get no further if you keep on repeating these stories, but how does repeating these stories and keep like telling your negative stories to people, like, oh yeah, like this is what's happened to me and stuff like that, and it's not
Well,
great, but this is
keeps
how
you
I.
on it keeps you in a low vibration, and like negativity breeds negativity. Like that's how energy works. Like high
Mm,
frequency attracts higher frequency. So we think, when we think positively and joyously and happier thoughts about ourselves, we will then put that energy out and start attracting that to us. So, but conversely, if we do the negative, we're going to attract more circumstances into our life and people that will resonate with that thought process. So
mm,
then, if they do, that will feel comfortable because we've been in it for so long. What feels uncomfortable is changing the thought process. But that's why I say you got to get out of your comfort zone. You got to face these fears of change, and it's the change is for the betterment of you.
mm. But
If we're not doing that,
we all want change in many ways. Like there's so many things that we would like to change about ourselves in positive ways. Then how could we be afraid of change if we want to change in a positive way? How could we be afraid of that? Like,
because I think a lot of us we think we're not worthy of it. We've been told we're not worthy of it, of the positive things that can be in our life, or we don't value ourselves enough.
so
Like we
so so sorry to cut you off there. So carry on.
no, it's like so no, go on. What was you gonna say?
So it's like the validation that people seek. Then is what you say. Is the way you're explaining it. It sounds like the only way to make that change is through validation from other people to make whatever change you want to make.
It's not in a sense, but the most change that you will get is by giving it to yourself. But it takes a lot of courage, and it's opening a lot of boxes of sitting with a lot of things. It's like I'm still having to do that now with
Mm,
myself. About I have to give myself the validation and encouragement on certain topics and certain instances with certain scenarios because of my past, of how I've been made to feel, or I've not been met, my emotional needs not been met in that moment in a what I wanted to be met or needed to be met. So
mm,
I still have to deal with that now myself, and that's some of my parts of my growth in healing. Like it's never linear, and it's never ending process because we get taught to we're not capable of doing these things. We always need someone else to do it for us. We absolutely need support 100%. We can't we human beings, we thrive off community and connection with other human beings. But if that connection is with what you're looking to move past, you're going to stay in the same place. So you've got what happened with me. I went into a deep sense of solitude for like quite a while, to sit with myself and remove any negativity outside of me and focus on the negativity within me. Because if I don't fix that, the outside negativity is just going to keep consuming my life.
So give an example of an outside negativity, what you would perceive as an outside negativity.
Just like it could be an environment that you don't enjoy being in, with people that are projecting their own fears and insecurities on not kind of onto you personally, but just in the vicinity of you. Like, and then, it was like, well, then you might enthusiastically say one day, I want to do this. I've got dreams of doing this. And they'll say, nah, you can't do that. Don't be realistic. Things like this. If you're in that environment all the time with these people, you're going to become that.
You're going to believe that and
You're going
become
to
that.
believe
Yeah.
it. You're going to become it. And like, so how do we the opposite? We've got to get around people that have already done like the work me and you are doing now on ourselves and doing what we're doing right now for trying to do for other people, and just see who resonates with what we say about just pursuing the best version, healthiest, happiest version of themselves. Get around them people that have already done it, that's already been there, and just listen to what they say, like we're trying to do now for people that's listening to your podcast. Just listen to what they're saying, and that is the blueprint. They are where you would hope to be one day. I don't mean materialistically. I mean internally.
Mentally,
Like, are they at peace?
physically,
Are they
spiritually.
fulfilled? Are they happier? Are they have loved ones around them? Are they living in a sense of love? Do you know what I mean? Instead of like hatred and resentment. Like, hang around with these people. Don't be afraid to change the people and the environments that you've been part of. Because, like, I tell this to people all the time, like, people get offended when sometimes you say, you talk about these things and you might be growing and evolving. They get offended. But the reason the reason I can talk about it, and because I hold myself accountable, I used to be the opposite. I used to be the person that would gossip, drama, anger, resentment. I used to
Judgment.
be that person. So it's within my rights to now speak on the opposite. Now put the work in to become a better person and work on them things that made me like that. Because I wasn't born like that. Stuff made me that way. And I worked damn hard to work through that.
So this brings me on to what we were talking about earlier after we did some jiu-jitsu is
I got a bust mouth, by the way, in jiu-jitsu. My jaw
nice. Well done.
hurt.
So the need for you need to understand the other side to appreciate the other side. So you got to experience negativity to appreciate the positive things. Vice
Yes.
versa, you appreciate the positive so much that every now and then something negative could be enjoyable, but then it's the law of polarity, the law of opposites. So I don't know where I was going with that, to be honest, but yeah, you just made me remind myself about
I
that.
do that all the time. I start thinking about things. I'm like, I lose my train of thought. I'm like, what was I talking about? Like, it gets that you
It
get to
was
that.
good though. It was good.
Yeah. Well, I think what you're saying is like yin and yang of life. Like, if you want to feel like you need to be more courageous, say it
Mm.
depends if you're whether you believe someone that believes in God, the universe, which I do, in the sense of there's a creator and we're all higher consciousness and energy, and one being guided. It's like if you want to be courageous, what if you ask for more courage? What do you think you're going to get?
More
How are you?
problems.
Exactly. Exactly. So when you
Fuck's
start to
sake.
think of it this way, it's like I've asked for courage today. Okay, then these problems come my way that I've got to confront something, and then you see it as like, oh, this is an opportunity. Oh, this is
To
great.
be
Like,
courageous.
yeah, to be courageous. I'm going to
That's
get
what
courageous
happens, right?
today. Like, I'm going to be great today. I'm going to face this shit. And then you do it. Then what does that build? Self-confidence,
Self-confidence
self-esteem.
and self-awareness as well, which is the
Mm-hmm.
main thing, which was I was looking to get into next, because it's everything that we're talking about now, kind of the change and everything is it kind of a lot of things boils down to self-awareness and being aware of your thoughts, which your thoughts create your actions, and your actions creates what comes into your life. So change your thoughts to change your actions to change your reality, right?
100%, bro. It's like
Something
what I'm
like
trying
that.
to facilitate with my business that I've started is to
Mm,
get in tune with your body
mm.
first. Feel what you got to feel. Well, my slogan on my hoodie today is like, breathe, feel, heal. You got to breathe in the moments where your mind's turbulent, because a lot of your thoughts are just absolute nonsense. And then feel into what it's telling you in the depth of your soul. You've got to be quiet to get the answers. You can't get the answers when your mind's busy. You got to be quiet, and then the answers will come. And then that's where you can then get the self-awareness to heal these things that's getting told to you.
You know what though? Like, it's easy to say it, but to somebody that doesn't understand and could never comprehend what you're saying, because I'm only saying this because, like yourself, like you said, you've been on the other side, and now you've got to the other side, and you can appreciate both sides. But I've also been that person long time ago where if you had told me, if you had said that line to me right now, like back then, I couldn't even, I wouldn't even know where to start with my imagination, because it's something that I've never experienced. I've never had any information feedback about being in that sort of situation. So it's like, what the fuck are you talking about? I'd look down on you and be like, mate, I think you need to go to the psych ward. But then again, this is the difference between knowing and not knowing, and ignorance. But again, we don't know everything. It's just a different
No,
type of terminology which
it's
gets
like,
looked down on by people that don't understand
well, that
what it
version of
is.
you, say,
Path we're going.
you wouldn't be been in a, if that's how you would have reacted. You wouldn't even be somebody that was at a point where they even want to or even understand. You're probably
Mm.
aware, you'd be quite happy with that version who you was at that time. So
Mm.
it's not even a question or a thought process you would even ask how would you do that? The people that ask how you do that or what that means, they're the people that there's something within them they're either not quite
That wants to
happy with their
know.
life or with themselves. They think, right, something will just they'll just feel something. Like it happens
Mm.
to everybody. Everybody you speak to, you'll speak to, that's gone through this process. If you ask them what changed, they'd be like, a lot of them would say, I just felt I just felt something. And then they ask questions and they had an intention. If you're not intentional with anything, you're not going to go nowhere. You've got an intention with what you want to do, where you want to go, who you want to be.
Mm.
And
It's knowing
nothing
what you
changes
like.
unless you have that in check and that detailed intention,
Mm.
and that'll change as you grow and evolve. And that's where the self-awareness comes from, having an intention.
Again, it's also it's whether people know what they want out of life, and what they like, what their passion is. Yeah, like the whole point of me doing these podcasts, bro, like it's just helping people to be self-aware, because I know what it's taken for myself, and the level of self-awareness that made myself look at myself. And since I've done that, I've been asking the right questions, and honestly, life is just so much better.
So what that of
Like,
you then? What was the moment?
oh, the moment was going into the pits of despair, being down and out, rock bottom, like the worst version of myself. Looking back, judging on how I was back then, but I didn't know no different. I was self-sabotaging. Just, it's like an escape, isn't it? And I'll be open about it. I used and abused any sort of substance that I could fucking get my hands on. But did I know that what I was going through at the time? Did I fuck? I didn't know. I just thought I'm just feeling good. I'm having some wine. I'm doing this, and but little did I know that what was going on. That was like I wasn't happy where I was, but it's like it's like all the things that was happening to me and the self-sabotaging. All I was doing was doing that until I asked myself the right questions. Otherwise, if you don't get to the point of asking yourself the right questions, you're just gonna, you know, drink yourself or end up in the grave. And
But like you
that's the
say,
way the
you
cookie
got to a
comes
point
out.
where you start asking yourself the right question. But
Mm.
like you say, you're asking me like, how do people do this? It's like, well, if you got to a point where you might be able to do that, but you've got to get around to other people that ask you the right questions. That's how we gain
Oh,
self-awareness. You, you're asking me questions
that's a
today,
deep
or
one.
I'll ask you questions. Like someone, I say, been around people that's done it. Like, like if you had
Yep.
like drinking, I speak to
Mm.
somebody that's not drinking no more. Like, why
Mm.
did you stop drinking? What was the what and why you stopped drinking? Oh, it's because this, this, and this, and this. Then something will then click in you like, oh, that sounds a bit like me. Why did then? Why did you do that? Why did you make them changes? Oh, I feel a bit like that too.
Mm.
You know, it all this. That's what I'm saying. We can't do it alone. It takes everybody, and this is why today, like, but you know this. I spoke to you today. Like, the biggest thing for me in the shift of what I feel is going to heal the world is men healing, and that's why what I
Yeah.
do is for men's mental health, emotional health, is men healing their masculine energy, becoming more healthy masculine men,
Mm.
because that helps our women heal their feminine and the wounded masculine. I know people might not understand what I'm saying right now, but um, for then we get together in union, because there's a lot of divide right now. A healthy woman in their feminine energy just elevates a man to what we're supposed to be, and we've caused terrible
Totally.
amounts of pain on these women, like because of being in an unhealthy state, and that needs to stop. And we all need to be accountable for that, because it starts with us.
Mm. So for somebody that couldn't be on the same page as you, understanding wise, and what you've just said there, how could you break it down for somebody who's not ready to listen to how you've just said that? How could you break it down to make it palatable? Like we need to show up for the
We need
women.
to show up as
Mm.
better people for ourselves. That's what I'm saying. It could start. We can show up like, how would you want to be? How would you like someone to treat you? Like, are you someone with integrity? Do you want to go around with integrity and honesty and values and morals in life? Do you want to be that person? Because if you do, then you've got to do that. And by doing that, that helps other people see. Then your standards rise. Like I told you straight today, I physically, since putting a lot of work, and I'm not perfect. I've still got stuff to do, but I physically can't stand to be around people that don't have the same like integrity values on certain as on like life, and particularly women, as I do,
Mm.
because I know the effects it has on them. This
And
energy
you.
they and yeah, and this energy that they carry with, like, women are such beautiful creatures that they're designed as nurturers. Like,
Mm.
earth is nurturing, nature's nurturing. These women who have, like, a lot of them are victimized and been abused in some way or form, and that's because and that's by a lot of men, and men are like that who have done that is because we can't face our own emotions. So we use anger, we use drink, we use drugs, we use violence, we use
Mm.
control. to mask all these emotions that we can't sit with. As soon as we start to sit with them, we become that version of a man that we need to be. And then we come in union and we help then our women, our queens, heal that. Because they're used to being around all this unhealthy energy and unhealthy men. And women, you got to remember, women are vulnerable in this world. Like they just are. They walk around with a
Life givers
vulnerability.
as well.
Yeah, exactly. The vulnerabilities, you know what I mean? So we've got to show up in a certain way. And I didn't used to be that. Like, I wasn't, because of all these stuff that I had going on, all these wounds and trauma and lack of self-belief, lack of confidence, self-esteem, all these fears, doubts, worries. I couldn't show up as that. And then that just puts the woman to think, right, I can't rely on this guy. I need to step up into that role too. Which
So
is what you
this is
see in
what
everyone.
creates this. So this creates an unbalanced dynamic in a relationship, which is just destined for failure, bro. We've all been there. For you to be
Yeah,
able to talk about it, you must know about it. You must have
yeah,
experienced it, right?
yeah. I'm divorced, like so like, and that's not all my doing. But I can take like I say accountability for even though we weren't the right fit, like we came to that near the end, it wouldn't have been right. I wasn't showing up how I am now and how I should be showing up in many ways.